What's up, guys? Your friendly neighborhood geek here. And today we are not doing another figure re-review or review. I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to do my first story time. Um, I like telling stories. I have a lot of stories in regards to just experiences and doing certain things or experiences with certain people who may or may not no longer be in my life anymore. And I feel like some of these experiences I can maybe give someone or a group of people advice on, because some of my experiences maybe other people have experienced in some shape or form. Um, so today I would be starting later on the day of this recording. I'll be starting my new job. If any of you all seen my past update videos, you would know I was unemployed for a long period of time. So this is wonderful for me. This will be my first experience working in a restaurant. So if all goes well, maybe I'll talk about that down the line. I will be working at Outback Steakhouse, so cool. We'll see how that goes. Like I said, never worked in a restaurant environment before. Um, but I did work somewhere similar to that, and that's what our story time for today is going to be. My experience working at Kroger as a Clicklist clerk. So this was, I want to say, 2019 to 2020, I want to say. So this is going on like 4.5 or 5 years ago now. Um, I mentioned in other reviews that I lived in Ohio for a year. So this is while I was living in Ohio. I worked at Kroger. The reason I went to Ohio was to study HVAC. For those who don't know, HVAC is a trade job. You're basically working on like AC units. So those big units you see on the side of people's houses, that's what HVAC engineers or whatever, HVAC people, that's what they do. They fix um, those machinery or whatever that controls the air circulation in your house or whatever. Um, so at the time, it's a good. I think it's well, trade in general is a good career path to have because you'll always. I've been told you'll always have a job. You'll always have money. People will always need fix people who fix things. But at the time, it just wasn't something I really saw myself doing in the long run. I just didn't like the work. I didn't like that type of work, the type of environments I would be working in. It just wasn't something that I saw myself really, getting involved in at the time. So with that being said, while I was there, I was living with relatives who invited me to come live with them to study, have back. So my aunt, she retired from Kroger. She had a corporate job at Kroger, and excuse me, what's the word? She suggested to me to give Kroger a try and see what jobs they had. So I was like, okay, cool. By that point, I had only had one job, which was my first job. My first job in a grocery store, discount grocery store called Food Depot, as a produce clerk, and so that was my first experience. So with that, in regards to working in a grocery store, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. So I applied for Clicklist Clerk. Clicklist was relatively new. I was a little familiar with it. For those who don't know, Clicklist is basically, maybe you all have done it yourselves, or maybe you've seen people do it. Is when you go to a store, they have a parking in the parking lot. They have a designated area for you to park, and you basically come to pick up whatever it is, whatever you order, whether it's groceries or other household items or almost anything really. Whatever you order, the excuse me, employee will bring it out to you and you'll pay for it or whatever. That's basically what I had to do. My click lists, what is it called? my click list area of our sector. I forgot the proper word. Our section, the click list sector at the store. Um, we had to get the groceries. Everything had to be done by a certain time. You know, you couldn't go over your time limit of how many groceries you're supposed to get for whatever order. So we had to so consistently, go out on the grocery store floor, get all the items for how whatever the customer ordered. If the item they want isn't available, you have to like make a substitute, or just say just tell them I'm sorry we didn't have it, or get something that you think they would like or whatever, or you know all that type of stuff. And you had to go and take it out to the person's car. So you had to, of course, interact with customers and put the groceries in their car, and if they had coupons, you had to scan the coupons and all that stuff. So, in regards to working, I guess customer service, I think the job benefited me um, in that way. And again, it was just another level of experience. Even though it was a grocery store, I was doing a totally different job at the grocery store. And while I was there, towards the end, because I was there for like 6 months, 6.5 months, they had me, I would do conditioning, which is basically just like stocking shelves and making sure everything is clean and neat in the aisles. And I would stock like toiletries, so like soap and deodorant and all that type of stuff. Um, and I think I did carts, which I really didn't like at all. um, Again, but when I did it, it was like raining and snowy outside. I didn't have gloves. I had to keep going in and out of the store to warm my hands up. That experience, like yeah, I have a lot of respect for people who go to work every day and that's what they do is get the carts, because it takes a lot of upper body strength and it's not as easy as it looks, especially if you don't have, some stores they have those like machines, or not a gurney, they have some type of machine you pull out there, and the machine you can attach all the carts to it and just push it in one direction back into the store. I didn't have that. I had to use my arms and my hands and all that stuff. So I didn't like that. That really made me not like getting carts. But like I said, so I did other duties while I was there, but my main duty was click list. So what was the issue? Well, it was a lot of factors. As I learned while I was there. Well, let's start from the beginning. Beginning, I applied. I got a phone interview. That went well. Then they wanted me to come in for to fill out paperwork. I don't remember specifically what the paperwork was for, but then I had to come back a third time to have an interview with the actual manager who oversaw the click list, and that went well. Of course, I didn't realize like that type of job. I ended up realizing like that type of job wasn't for me. You know, as I over the time I was in that position, but like I said, so I had to come in 3 times, and I had to come in a fourth time to do work. Like I had to, you had to do this kind of seminar on the computer, and after you did the seminar, then you would start your actual training. So to me, I'm like, wow, like I wasn't expecting to have to go through all those hoops just to start at that store. My previous job, like I said, it was a discount grocery store. So all I did, like I think I talked with the store manager. I think I spoke with the person who would be I would be under, so my supervisor that I would be under, who oversaw the produce department, and I filled out an application, and that was it. Like I really didn't have like a real traditional interview. That was it. It was like, well, give us a couple days to get your information in the system, and you can start. Um, so like I said, when I did Kroger, I wasn't expecting all those steps. But So when I started, first impressions, everybody came off professional. The way they did things came off professional. Like I said, when I had to go through all those steps to after getting hired, it's like they were following all the proper procedures, but they didn't. I don't know if you could say they didn't really follow up on that, so to speak. Like I said, the store was poorly ran. Um, Kind of had crappy management. Everybody was in fear of the manager. Like he was like everybody was afraid of him. Um, Firing them. Like let's make this fun. Let's because I'm not going to use the actual people I work with. I'm not going to use their names. I doubt if any of them will ever see this video. But to be on the safe side, let's just have some fun with this. So let's say the manager's name was Madara. For my anime fans, let's say the manager was Madara, Mr. Uchiha, and everybody was afraid of him and saying there was all these rumors about him, and so the handful of times I interacted with him, I was always positive. I was always friendly. Always acted like I was doing my job. I was keeping myself busy. I wasn't just standing around doing nothing or anything like that. Um, so I never really had like a personal issue with him, but hearing other people say crazy stuff about him, it did make me just kind of like self-aware when he comes around, like what to possibly expect. So there was that. Um, like I said, poorly ran. Everybody was afraid of Madara. My peers were kind of toxic a little bit. My first job, I didn't experience that. My coworkers mostly were older ladies. One of my other coworkers, he was around. We were around the same age, and I was like the only person of color. Like I was the only um, young black man working in the produce department in my old job. All of my other employees. Now there were other young black adults at my store, but I didn't really work with them. My coworkers were older Spanish ladies, and like I said, the one young guy who was Hispanic. Um, so like I said, we all just did our job, go home, come home to work on time, do what's expected of you, that type of stuff. So there was never any issues, never any drama. Well, not really. I have one incident, but maybe I might save that for another story. Yeah, so of course, that was like new to me. Like it kind of reminded me of being back in school, dealing with toxic peers. And not everybody, it was more like the people my age. Like the older coworkers who I interacted with periodically, never really had an issue with them. They were always, for the most part, friendly. And I feel like some of the toxicness towards me specifically was because, well, me and one coworker kind of had a falling out. We started off friends, and something happened between us, which I'm not going to really get into. And I was kind of at fault for it. I apologized for what I did to this person, and there's some of their family members, and they accepted my apology, but I guess their family wasn't, really didn't accept it. And for whatever reason, of course, being young and dumb, our personal situation somehow, got brought over to the work environment, which was not needed. And like I said, just kind of made things worse on my end because now our like I said, our not the store manager, but our supervisor, we'll call him. I don't know. Actually, let's just say the store manager's name. No, I don't know. The store manager's name could be Donzo, could be Madara. I'm not sure. So let's say the Clicklist supervisor. His name was um let's see. His name was Obito. Yeah. No, no, no. let's say his name was. Uh, okay, I want to have fun with this. His name was. What anime character could I use? Oh, okay, let's say he was Cooler from Dragon Ball. So the store manager's name was Cooler. The click list store manager's name was Madara. The click list supervisor's name was Cooler. Um, and that's another thing I noticed. So when I had an interview with the click list supervisor, it was a lady, and when I started, she was gone. So that was kind of a red flag. But at the time, I didn't really notice that. But as I've gotten older and I've had other jobs, I know that that is kind of like a common thing that happens sometimes in the workforce. So like I said, so my click list supervisor Cooler knew of the situation between me and the other coworker. Let's just say it was a situation between me and Goten. So me and Goten had a falling out. Um, and so like I said, the supervisor knew about the situation. A couple other coworkers knew, and it felt like a lot of negativity was kind of put towards me. On top of the fact that I think the other reason was because I wasn't really good at the click list job. Like I said, I learned that type of job just wasn't for me. I feel like it was a good job. I felt like it was a smart concept. The whole grocery delivery idea. But like I said, I just feel like personally, it wasn't for me. Like it just wasn't a good fit for me. Um, because like I said, I wasn't really good. Like I don't work well under pressure, and having to get all the groceries, all the orders done by a certain time just wasn't for me, which is ironic, but I'll get into that in a minute. So what I did was I basically just maintained our area, like our little sector where we had all our stuff stored and our computer and stuff. I just worked that area. I took the items out to the people's car, and that's pretty much what I did. The majority of me, working there. But like I said, I felt like I wasn't treated as equally because I wasn't good at the job. Like so on top of the falling out I had with my other coworker, that that situation that took place outside of work was kind of brought into the work environment. Like I said, so everybody was just kind of toxic and petty, and I just for the most part I just kind of held my own. I just continued to do me, and like I said, I knew like I was gonna be gone in a month or so, a couple months. So it was like, I don't give a crap about y'all anymore. Like like I gotta focus on me, my future, what am I gonna do next? All that type of stuff. So I was like, I can't be thinking about what happened, you know. So yeah. But um yeah, I think that's like my Kroger experience in a nutshell. Like I said, my next job, I did something similar to ClickList. I worked in warehouse, and we had to, get orders, and we had to pick, but it was for clothes. So yes, you were expected to have your order done by a certain time frame, especially if it was a big order. But like I said, it was clothes, so there wasn't a lot of pressure on you to get it done. Like I said, they were a little bit more flexible. Like I said, if they were closed, they didn't have to be done right. They didn't have to be, like some people did. Some customers came to the warehouse to pick up items, but not, of course, not everybody came to the warehouse to pick up their items. So every order you get is not going to be something that's going to be, picked up on that day, so to speak. Um, but yeah, but like I said, so far, Kroger has been like my worst job experience. So like I said, technically I've had 3 jobs, and I've all been at those jobs for like 6 months for different reasons. Um, like 4, if you want to count, had that because I put that on my. Of course, I put that on my resume when I'm applying for other jobs. But yeah, like Kroger was just unfortunately, my worst job experience. Like I said, the job I was doing wasn't really a good fit for me, but I was in a different environment. Um, like living in, I mean, going from living in Georgia to living in Ohio is pretty different. Even though, like I think I said, I was born in Kentucky, so and since I have family in Ohio, I would always visit them. So I had visited Ohio, but to actually live there for a year, like, yeah, that was a big step for me. So like I said, but it was a lot. I don't regret it. Like I said, I made some mistakes. I learned from my mistakes. I learned some new things. Um, like I said, so I feel like it wasn't all for nothing. Like I said, I don't particularly regret it. But yeah. So I just wanted to share my experience working at Kroger's. Would I ever work at a Kroger's again? Um, yeah. It just depends on what the position is. Like for the most part, like I know what kind of environment I would be in. So like I said, it just depends on what the job. I'm looking at the time. It would just depend on what the job would be. But yeah, that's it for the story time. If any of you have questions or have any experiences you want to share working at Kroger or working anywhere, I'd like to hear them. Maybe, oh yeah, my advice of, I don't know, if it's your first job, just do your best. Um, it's okay to make mistakes. Don't make too many that could cost you to get fired. um, if you're dealing with toxic people, if the management isn't toxic, try to bring it to their attention so they know what's going on if they're not aware. If management is toxic, then if you can, maybe try looking for another place to work that's more, that's just a better, healthier environment for you. So yeah, I guess yeah, that's my advice. Yeah, stay tuned for more. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll probably do more of these. I like I said, I have a lot of stories. Some worth telling and some probably not. So yeah. But yeah, peace, you guys. So I forgot to say, so don't click away just right. Don't click away right away. Um, some major things I forgot to point out. So the specific store I worked at in Fairfield, Ohio, was considered, not sure if it still is, was considered one of the worst stores in the nation. And the higher ups of Kroger would just use that store as like a training ground for new supervisors and managers, so to speak. Um, I think one day the current head of Kroger, he may have came to the store. I wish I would love to have met him. That would have been really cool. But I don't think I worked that day. I think he came on a day I didn't work, or he ended up not coming at all. I don't remember. Um, like another thing that Madara did, as the manager. Well, so we had a supervisor. She was really nice. She ended up leaving, I think, to go to work at a Kroger in Texas or something. She got transferred somewhere else. She had made a book so people who weren't supposed to work that day could, write their name, write their hours, and write how many hours they worked. So if you were called in and you weren't supposed to work that day, you would get paid for the work you did that day. Which helped out a lot and made things more structured and organized. And he threw it away. Madara threw the book away. Why would you do that when this was to benefit the employees and help the store as a whole, with in regards to people, making sure people get paid for the hours they worked on days they weren't supposed to come in? So that's a strike, or that's a L on his behalf. And like I said, it just didn't make sense. Like, were you doing this out of pettiness, out of despitefulness? Like, it didn't make sense. Like, why would you do something like that? So that's the issue I had. Like down the line, when towards the end of me being there, they were short. They would call me, and a couple times I did it because I'm like, okay, cool, I can make a little extra money, and I genuinely want to help them out. But days also the system that store managers or supervisors could access to manually key in people's hours on the computer. Well, they changed it later on while I was there, so only Madara had access to it. So if I'm called in on a day that he's not there, how can I make sure that my hours are documented for that specific day? And I didn't want to take that risk. So I was just kind of like, I felt bad, but I wouldn't answer the calls. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to come in, and you can't guarantee, that I'll be, um, my work will be accounted for that day. So, like I said, those are some other reasons why I talk about the environment and just how things were ran poorly. Um, Another situation, real quick. They had, I think, the worst day I can remember was like New Year's Eve. Now, I think Thanksgiving and Christmas were busy, but I think we had everybody was kind of there to help with that. But me, on New Year's, I was kind of thrown in charge of our sector. We were understaffed, and Madara, and let's say the other co-manager. Let's just say his name was Kakazu. No, his name was Frieza. So Madara and Frieza had to help with um help deal with the people. And like I said, I just felt bad. I was working under pressure. Like the parking lot outside, designated for Clicklist, the whole parking lot was full. People were getting antsy and all that stuff. And I just, like I said, that I did not like that at all. I was like, yeah, excuse me, yeah, this isn't for me. Like, I will never do this again. So yeah, those are some key things I forgot to mention in the beginning. So yeah, that was it. Peace, guys.